Welcome to my video documentation of Reading the Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. My name's Paris and I am a writer, so I like writing all kinds of things. I'm a copywriter. I like to write songs and poems and stories. I was gifted this book for Christmas and I've heard it's really good for tapping into your creativity. And I think that it can be very, very powerful if you actually stick to what it says and you're consistent with it. I want to actually dedicate my time to this book and see just how powerful it can be. And I want to document the changes that I'm going through and use these videos to put it into words and to have reference and to communicate with other people about it as well. There's a couple intro sections that are small that just kind of set you up for tapping into a higher level of thinking or a higher power. And it also talks about two main tools in this book. One is called the morning pages and one is called the artist date. The morning pages are something that you do every single day. You wake up and you write 3 pages in your notebook, just stream of consciousness. You don't try to think about it too much. You don't try to edit what you're writing. You don't worry about if it's readable, if it makes sense, whatever. It's just kind of a brain dump, and it's a really good way to get your day started. And I was thinking about just kind of doing it whenever it was convenient, but I realized that it's actually best if I just wake up a half hour earlier and just do it like right away every single day. So that's a really good way to just kind of get your juices flowing, and it's a non-judgmental method of doing that. And the other main tool is called the artist date, and that's basically where you're kind of taking in other people's work and creativity. So the author kind of says the morning pages is where you're dumping stuff out, and then the artist date is where you're taking stuff in. And I really liked the comparison that the author used of treating this as a divorced parent who is getting the weekend with their child. Like, you're not just gonna choose like, 15 minutes in between errands, I'll look at some art or something. You really want to make a sacred space and time for this, as if you're hanging out with someone that you really want to prioritize your time with. So for week 1, my artist date was going ice skating and listening to a whole new playlist of songs I'd never heard before. And it was a really fun way of just being by myself, kind of getting in a zone, taking in new sounds that I have not heard before. I feel like a lot of my hobbies are already things that can be individual, because I will get home from work, I will go to the gym, I do that by myself. And then I practice the guitar or I play piano, that's something I do by myself. So dedicating even more time to an individual activity, because that's one of the key things, is that for the artist date, you don't want to be hanging out with like your friends or your family during the artist date. You want to really spend time with you and your creative mind. All right, so now I'm going to get into the actual week 1 content. So week 1 is all about recovering your sense of security and safety when you are tapping into your creativity. And I thought this was a great way to start, because it is scary. Whether you are pursuing a creative career, or you just want to be a more creative person, or you want to open your mind, it feels dangerous, even though you know you're not going to be physically harmed, even though on paper nothing is bad. It just feels like you're stepping into a war zone sometimes, when you're kind of changing your identity, or maybe you're admitting your identity to yourself for the first time, and you are exploring parts of yourself that you have never allowed space for before. That can be really scary. And telling other people that, hey, I sat down and wanted to write a chapter of a book, they might laugh at that. And it's really something that you have to remind yourself, it's okay to be doing this. It's not an embarrassing thing. It's not something that should not be embraced. And so I thought having a whole week dedicated to that in the beginning was really, really helpful. I thought it was really great that the exercises encouraged you to specifically go through points of creative opposition that you've had in your past, and also creative support. Because a lot of times when people say negative things, or maybe thought that you were weird for being creative, we kind of try to put that in a box in our mind and not think of it so that it won't affect us. But then it just builds up. And so you really pick them out and you write about them and you massage them and you address them so that they are out in the open, and then you can actually get over it. Just as importantly, you pinpoint the times people have been outspoken in supporting you, And it can be hard to keep track of those. They are really good motivators. And so having a list of times where you're like, oh wait, this person actually did support that. Oh, there are people looking out for me. There are people that support me. It can really make it feel like it's not all in your head. So I really liked that. It's also a week where there are a lot of affirmations to write. And this is interesting because I like to prove something to myself by doing it rather than writing about it. I think that the affirmations actually were helpful because it is backed by action because of all the exercises that you're doing in this week and like the artist date and the morning pages. So you are taking action. And number two is that affirmations don't have to be false. I used to kind of think that affirmations were like in the future, like, oh, I will get this, I will do this. But a lot of them are, I am a good person, I am a creative person. They aren't things that are necessarily a reach. So I think that rewiring what affirmations can be was one of the really good things that I got out of week number 1. In summary, this week was a lot of affirmations. It was a lot of going through and pinpointing your support from other people and your maybe roadblocks that other people have given you, really working those out and digging deep in how those are affecting you and how you can get over that. And I wanted to highlight a challenge and a strength or success that I had in this week. So for my challenge, I wanted to say that it was hard to find times where people were very outwardly unsupportive of my creativity because I have not really been one to put myself out there. I think that if I had put myself out there more, there definitely would be more people who were like, oh, that's kind of weird that you do that or whatever. So it's not just that everybody's super nice all the time. It's that I never even gave them something to shoot down in the first place, which is a technique that I'm trying to get out of because while it's nice that nobody is crushing your dreams of creativity, it's also keeping you from putting it out there in the first place. So I realized that that was kind of holding me back. And then a strength or success that I had in this week was admitting to other people that I want to really work on building my creativity because I think it's seen as something, especially as an adult, that you don't really take seriously or that you kind of find time for it in between the more important things. But speaking out loud to other people that I want to spend more time writing songs, I want to spend more time being creative and thinking in different ways, I want to spend more time connecting with other people and collaborating on projects. I think that that was really important for me to put out into the world. So I'm proud of myself for doing that. And I also wanted to highlight some favorite affirmations that I wrote, that I came up with, and then some favorite quotes that were in the book. And feel free to use these if they resonate with you. My creativity is proof of happiness and vice versa. So you could also read it as my happiness is proof of creativity. Practice is what my talents deserve. Oh, I also really like this one. Following my dreams with hard work will not create a future I don't want to be in. Sometimes when I was doing these exercises, I'm like, this is kind of scary. Maybe I should back out. Maybe I should not fully give attention to songwriting or personal writing because I'm scared of what it could become. But I know for a fact that when I follow my dreams with hard work, it will not create a future that I don't want to be in. And when you follow your gut feeling, whether it's leaving a job or a relationship, whatever, even though it's really, really scary and you're like, oh, like this is, it feels weird and against the grain, you know logically that it's for the best and it will benefit you in the long run. So I liked telling myself that. Oh, this is another one I really like. What I want wants me too. So like my dream life is dreaming of me. It says, it is very difficult to complain about a situation morning after morning, month after month, without being moved to constructive action. The pages lead us out of despair and into undreamed of solutions. So this is explaining why the morning pages are important. Because if you're like in your head all the time, oh, I want to be an artist, I want to be a painter, I want to be a painter, I want to be a painter, but you don't actually make those thoughts tangible, they can kind of just sit in this cloud in your brain. But then when you speak it or write it every day, and you do it over and over again, you're like, okay, I actually need to either do something about this or stop bitching and moaning and complaining about it. I also like that it's impossible to get better and look good at the same time. This wasn't written by the author. She included this quote from somebody else. It says, as you simplify your life, the laws of the universe will be simpler. And I think that is also really powerful because when you actually start dedicating time to your dreams and speaking them out loud, you realize it was all okay. A lot of the storms build up inside your head, and the laws of the world actually become simpler when you realize a lot of it was fabricated in your own head. I also really liked the section where they talk about how we might think that we aren't artists because we are, like, haven't made it or whatever, as if only celebrities or only rich people who are making a lot of money off of their creativity can really be artists. A lot of people have that talent but are in circumstances in their life that they just aren't able to nurture that creativity. And so it's a real privilege to be able to set time aside with this book to work on my creativity. And I think that just makes me grateful for all of these challenges, because there's a lot of mental, emotional challenges and maybe uncomfortable feelings that are being brought up. But honestly, that just reminds me that it's really a privilege to be able to work through this, because sitting down and giving yourself this time that you deserve is something that people don't always get the opportunity to do, even if they do have the talent and the drive and the desire to do it. So I think that kind of wraps up week 1. I'm kind of in the middle of week 2 right now, so I'm going to be doing weekly check-in videos just to keep myself accountable. And I really want to hear from you guys if you have also done this book, if you have had any experiences that you are comfortable sharing, or any favorite quotes or aspects of it. Please let me know. I think it's a 12-week thing, so I'm really excited to see beginning versus the end and see how much of my mindset has changed, and if I'm any closer to having songs released because that's my main thing. I love writing songs, but I just never knew how to get into that industry. So now I'm actually making tangible efforts to get there, and I'm very excited about it. I think that's it. I'm excited to be going down the artist's way, guys. All right, catch you later.